One book, one place, one point of view, until you turn the page.
You ever read something so eerie and precise it makes you question what's reality and what's dream? That's Baron Bagge. It's short, it's wonderfully strange, it feels like someone dreamed a war story, but the dream was so vivid that it left scars. I'm Katja, and I'm so glad that I added this novella to our Reading the Globe classic strand. I kept seeing people in the Discord mentioning how powerful it was. Matilda, Roz, Safer, and more were really enjoying it while I was putting it off, thinking I had time to read it since this is the classic strand of the Reading the Globe, and we then have 2 months to read each book, and this is so short. But finally, I caved and picked it up, and then I understood why people enjoyed this. There is something so immediate and yet subtle about this book. So, what is it all about? We follow an Austro-Hungarian cavalry officer riding into battle in 1915. It begins quite calm in a ballroom, then we go into the brutal realism of war strategy and violence as he tells a story. And then again, something shifts. The landscape thickens, the timeline bends, a village appears, serene and impossible. A woman appears too, so does love, maybe. It reads like the memory of something that never quite happened, but feels true, or feels true anyway. And this gives you an idea that it's really atmospheric. There is a particular stillness to it. It's mystical without being sentimental, and it brushes against the surreal, but never detaches from feeling grounded with the main character. Lernet-Holenia's prose as well is crisp like snow under the cavalry hooves of the horses. But there's poetry in the restraint. He never overstates the uncanny. Instead, it creeps in sideways, through fog, through observation, through unreality. So tonally, it's quite solemn, but never cold. A war novel, yes, but also a meditation on longing, loss, and what we carry back from the edge of death. It's not trying to dazzle you, it's asking you to run with it, sit with it, absorb it. And I also liked leaning into the more romantic and all of that in such a short amount of time. Now, on the Discord group, these are the thoughts. Matilda said, spooky, mysterious, not too long. And that's right, it's not too long, and yet it packs in so much. And Roz was drawn in by the immediate mood, the weariness, the sensory details, the way the setting evokes something out of reach. As for readability, Safer read it in their lunch break, forgot to eat, and regretted absolutely nothing. So, yes, this is very much a book you can do in one sitting. And also, what's fascinating is the range of connections people made. That these stories have a similar vibe, but they're very different. So, Bulgakov's White Guard, Bizati's The Tartar Steppe, even Rip Van Winkle. Different references, and yet somehow all ringing true. And it reminds me how rare it is for a book that is this small to echo in so many directions. At this point, I just want to say a huge thank you to the Discord members for being so engaged, and it's fab to have that space for us all to catch up. If you haven't joined the Discord, you can. If you can't join Discord, don't worry, we've got these wrap-up videos for the classics, and we've got live shows for the contemporary and YA. And for the live shows, I co-host with Roz and Jack. So, who is this for? If you like fever dream narratives, don't hate magical realism, yes. If you're drawn to books that leave room for interpretation, where things are more than what's explained, this is for you. It's for readers who can savor surreal moments and find an emotional rawness and honesty in them. So this has been the non-spoiler section of the review. I thank you for joining me. If you read it and want to come back for the spoiler review, that would be fantastic. In the meantime, you can let me know if you're going to be picking this up, if it was already on your TBR, and if you've read something that sounds similar, the vibe that I've just talked about. Otherwise, we are about to head in. All right, this is the moment. Spoilers ahead. So, the twist, if we can even call it that, is that the Baron might have died, or at the very least, he hovered so close to death that something opened. A door, a vision, some pocket of time. The story is framed as a confession since he's been accused of being such a womanizer, leading women to have broken hearts. But his truth is that he is faithful to a woman he met in a vision, and that is why he is off the market, ladies. So dream on, he's not interested. Anyway, so he tells the story of what happened. So we flash back to 1915 with a cavalry charge. He's injured, then peace, a village in the Carpathians, a woman named Charlotte, marriage, all a whirlwind. It all happens so quickly, and yet it doesn't feel too quick. And it feels inevitable, but also natural, despite the eerie spookiness. And then we have the bridge appearing again. Another cavalry charge, but this time instead of pebbles scattering around him, it's Russian troops using Japanese artillery. And he witnesses his fallen regiment being eliminated as the enemy soldiers take no prisoners. Then two men from the rear guard swoop in and save him. He blacks out, he wakes up in a field hospital, and the Golden Bridge is gone. Now it's, just wood when he returns. And yes, the village exists, but it's so different. And Charlotte existed too, but by all accounts, people say she was different as well. So it feels real and yet not real. It is said if anyone turns back on the road of death, he will come back. And that is the closest we get to an answer of how Bagge survives. So let's have a quick look at symbols and interpretations. Let me know in the comments if you come up with more. The bridge, I think, is the least subtle but most effective. The line between life and death disguised as a gleaming invitation. Not crossing is what saves him, or maybe what condemns him to this reality and to this remembrance. Then we've got the Carpathians, not just the mountains, but they become a sort of purgatory. Snow, fog, uncertainty. It's not just war's geography, it's a geography of grief. And then Charlotte. She's both ideal and omen. Her beauty is described in ancient terms, Egyptian, Grecian, as if she's always belonged to this realm of the dead. His descriptions of her made me think of death. The royal Egyptians, for example, evokes tombs. The way he describes her white teeth evokes skulls. And yet she doesn't feel creepy. Rather, she feels high above and out of reach. Especially because the descriptions also give a sort of vitality. When he talks again about her teeth, he says something like she has teeth white in the way of very young mammals, and that lends that vitality again, that vigor. The kind of woman you meet once and never again because she was never really there. Then we have time distortion because everything seems to have happened in a blink of an eye. And the village ball, the antique uniforms, everything is like this flicker, last image of a dying empire, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, playing itself out one final time, a sort of ghost story about a country as much as about people who were lost in the war. So memory. Bagge remembers Charlotte, but nothing is actually accurate about that memory. She is described in real life as totally different. The bridge is different, the village is different. So is it a trick of a mind, or is he seeing in a different realm? Sort of like, is it more real than what we see? Or is that me just going a little bit further than I need to? So, final spoilerish thoughts. This is a book that doesn't ask you to solve it, it asks you to sit and, run with it. It's not asking for you to come up with a solution. And I absolutely love that. It's a quiet classic, introspective, ephemeral, and strangely unforgettable. And I just thought it was a lovely ride, so to speak. So, what do you think? Did Bagge die? Did he dream? Did he glimpse the afterlife? And does the answer even matter? Is the question. And also, what other books made you question the line between memory and reality, or memory and myth, death and life, the real and the not so real? And bonus points if it involves snow, ghosts, and just this vibe. Let's talk in the comments. And thanks so much for joining me.